Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Art and Spirit. I am so excited to welcome one of my dearest friends and someone that I feel embodies the name of this YouTube channel, the name of this show, Art and Spirit. She definitely is both. So welcome to the show, Miss Jeannette Bayardelle.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Angela. I appreciate you, and you're just the best.
You're the best. So how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good today. You know, it's definitely been a journey, but I'm feeling good. I'm starting to try to understand this and understand the season and understand that there's a huge opportunity for growth in this season. And if we don't take nothing away, I think that's one of the takeaways. I mean, a lot of artists, some of your biggest things are birthed out of heartache or hard times or trying times. So I feel like in this time, so many things that people thought that they could never do, they're doing. You know, you have to fish from home. What does that look like? What does that mean?
Well, you know, Jeannette, you've always been that person that, you know, you would get the 5,000 fish.
Right.
You know, you would be that one that would make it happen. You've always been that way. So has it been hard?
Fishing from home?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? It's been, I have to say that I prepared for this because I was the one that saw this coming. So like,
really?
Yes, I had been preparing. I mean, I had a short time to prepare. I mean, I started preparing maybe the end of January. So, like,
how did you see this coming? How did you see it coming?
Girl, first of all, I was watching the news. I had family members that were watching what was going on in China and stuff like that. Yeah. And in February, we were doing a lot of press for Girl. We were in rehearsal. We were doing press, and I had to fly to, I forget where it was, Nashville, someplace, to do some type of convention. And when I came back, girl, this is the end of January, girl, sick. She was sick. Like, I've never, ever been sick before. Like, I don't get sick. Like, literally.
No, you don't get sick.
I don't get sick. So this was in January. I lost my voice. And you know what? I was tired, but I wasn't concerned about any of that. I was just concerned about this. Like, I'm like, I could get through anything. So, but I was just like, this is crazy because I never get sick. So because I had been following what was going on in like China and stuff like that, I was like, wait a minute, could this be I went to the doctor and I kept saying, like, could this be? And they were like, we don't have that. Girl, no, that's not in America. Like, it wasn't a thing. And so it literally took me months to like fully recover. So because of that, I had purchased masks. I had started doing this, and I started talking to my cast, and there were about 2 of us who were really sick in January. And then, we stuck through. We didn't miss any days or anything like that. We pushed through. Like, I was doing the show with no voice, trying to sing around and learn. You know, you always learn your voice when you're sick because you're like, oh, well, I could do this instead of doing that. But even in that, it brought out a different performance in me because I couldn't do my belts and I had to keep it sweet, tell the story.
Yeah.
Speak certain words. So even in that, I was growing as a performer because I couldn't fall back on my tricks. You know what I'm saying? All the tricks. And I'm telling you, I planned some good tricks. I was working on these tricks. Baby, I'll be in rehearsal like, y'all don't know I'm about to do this. And like all of that was taken away. So I had been preparing early, and then I started talking to my cast, like, listen, guys, I know we're about to open, but there's something serious that's going on and we need to take heed. And, people don't really want to hear that. They like, girl, if you don't go to the dressing room and shut up. I want to say that the cast, they were prepared because we were having the conversations early on. So by the time it happened, I was just like, Lord, let us get through opening night and let us get through this album recording. If we can get through those, we're good, and we got through it. I mean, we opened up, we had the album recorded, and that next week shut down.
Wow. Well, I should say that Jeannette was on Broadway in the musical Girl from the North Country. And they had been, yes, they had been on everything. They had been talked about with regard to winning Tonys, and they were on late night television. Jeannette was everywhere. So this is a huge loss. I mean, when it shut down, did you even imagine that it would be this long?
Mm-hmm.
You did.
I tell you, like, cast members, because at this point now cast members are texting me like, Jeannette, so what do you think is gonna happen? There was actually a cast member, and I love him dearly. He's one of my best friends. I love his family, his wife, but he was actually mad at me because I was like, because it was his first show, and people are moving to New York, getting apartments, fixing up their apartments because you got a Broadway show. But like us veterans that's been in this for a while, we like, you taught me this. Save your coins. You look. Don't go crazy. Save it. So I was trying to give that same message. Like, listen, we're about to go into, like, we weren't using the word pandemic at the time, but I was like, it's not looking good. So try to save all your cash. Don't make any big purchases right now. Let's wait and see what happens. And he was so mad at me. Oh, he was like, what are you talking about? Like, you talking gloom and doom. I'm like, I'm not trying to talk gloom and doom. I just see it. And because I had been sick, and I was like, this is not, I don't know what I had, because at the time they weren't tested for corona or anything like that. But because I felt that way for so long, like I had that urgency, like, no, we got to prepare. So I was prepared for the long haul. We're still planning to come back to Broadway. We still have our meetings. We still are active and doing press and stuff like that. But I had to wrap my mind over, like, this is a different season. And when you hold on to an old season, that's when you can't move forward, because you're mourning this thing that was. Like, that's what was. That was the stage for the next phase of life, Right. So even with the show, like, even now, I feel like people would resonate with the show more, because it's a show about times like this, getting through bad situations and how to hold on, and it's the perfect message. And I feel like now people can come to the show and really be like, wow, I get it. Like, I really get this show now. So I think that, here we are. We just have to make the best out of the situation. And a lot of people in our industry, we know how to do that. Like, this is what we do. Like, you know how many times we night working?
A lot.
And trying to figure out what we're going to do next. Oh my God, am I getting older? Can I? And it works out.
It works out, right?
It works out.
So since you have this gift, what's gonna happen? Like, what? Like, like, how long do you think?
I think that this is the funniest thing, because my cast, from the producers to the PR people, they are like, girl, what kind of juju you doing? And I'm like, I don't do juju, first of all. I love the Lord. But because that song, Pressing On, that we did, I basically was telling the PR, I was like, listen, we need to do that on CNN. Now, I just pulled CNN out the hat. Like, I was like, we need to. And when they called me 3 weeks later, it was like, girl, you scared me. They're like, you are scaring us, because we're about to debut the song on CNN. I said, I told you. But
yeah, no. I've been a part of that Jeannette said it would happen scenario. I have definitely been a part of that, so I believe it. So what's gonna happen? How long this gonna be going on? Just tell me from yours, because you have a health background as well. Yeah. So tell me what you think. What you getting in your spirit?
I get, I wish this thing could be over tomorrow. I tell you, I wish it could be. The only reason why I don't want it to be over is that I feel like the lessons and the takeaways we need to get those before we get back to what we're going to get back to. Because when you think about the life we were living and things we all took for granted, I don't want to go back to that space of just like taking things for granted. Believe me, I want to get back to being on stage and stuff like that, and doing what we do. But I think it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a minute. That's how I feel. If I'm wrong, I will be very happy to be wrong.
Well, your track record is something else. And I agree with you about lessons, learning lessons, and hopefully not going back.
I'm looking around, and looking around means looking in the internet, looking outside the window, looking at your family. And I'm seeing these wonderful flowers come up. Wow. It's just like flowers everywhere. When I say flowers, like I'm watching you, what you're doing and what other friends are doing, and just like, wow, there's so much, like, we're growing in a way that we would have never grown or not at this speed, because we're forced to now. You know what I mean? So there's so much good that's happening out of all of this chaos.
So what's the future of the show? What's it looking like?
We have a bright future, which is wonderful so far. I mean, things can always change, but we're planning to come back as soon as we're able to come back. We're planning to come back. This show has a life. There are people that still need to see it, and we've been through this waiting period. In 2018, we were at the Public, and we were supposed to come to Broadway the next season, 2019 season. The theater that we had lined up went to somebody else, and it was like, we were like, oh. So we had to wait an entire year, but we knew that it was coming back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was beautiful, because so many of my cast members were turning down opportunities, like TV, all kind of TV shows. Like, no, I'm doing Girl from the North Country. And they were like, but when are you coming? What theater? We don't know, but we know we're coming. So we are that committed to the show. And it's like, I make this analogy. It's like, you ever have something that you really like to eat and you're about to bite it? You like that? That's how we work the show. And somebody just snatched it. So I believe we're going to get a taste of that cookie.
Wow. You know what? Because I remember having a conversation with you. You were off Broadway doing Rent. Was it Rent? What show were you doing off Broadway? It wasn't Rent.
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on that. Yes, you were off Broadway doing Rock of Ages, and I would talk to you and you said, girl, I'm just waiting to go do Girl from North Country. That is what I'm excited about. I cannot wait. You were so excited about it. And to feel that hyped about something, the cookies just get yanked away from you.
Yanked away. But I know you know what? It was, I guess, because of the type of show it is and what we've already accomplished, and what, like, I think I told you I got a chance to sit with Bob Dylan and just being with him, with so many wonderful things and relationships, and the creative team just have come out of this, that I feel bad about the situation in general, all of Broadway. I'm more concerned about the world in general, and then the world of Broadway, than I am my specific show, because I feel like my show is like, that's our baby, that's our home, like, you know what I mean? So I'm concerned about the entire Broadway community.
What word of encouragement would you give the Broadway community, people that aren't so sure their show is coming back?
This is the time to birth out the greatness in you. It's hard. You know what? And you know what? You may not even get the revelation right now. You may get the revelation in December. But this is the time that you can explore other things about you. I feel like, especially as artists, we kind of defined ourselves the way that people defined us. So if you know me to belt, if you know me to hit these notes, I start to feed into that. So every time I sing, I'm going to belt, I'm going to give you what I want. But there are other layers of my talent, other layers of my gift. So I feel like this is the opportunity for us to explore those things. You're forced to explore, because some people get comfortable. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to get comfortable in this season, because this is the season that you're going to look around you. You're going to start seeing flowers growing from places that you never thought they would grow. And so you want to be a part of that growth. And you do it at your own time and at your own pace. And it could mean so many things. It could mean, okay, you picking up an instrument. It could mean you picking up another skill. It could mean many things. It's different depending on who the person is. But just take this opportunity to grow. Use it to grow. I mean, I've written stuff like SHIDA. I know we'll talk about that later, but hair was closing on Broadway. Like, hair, I was on Broadway and hair was closed, and I was like, I gotta do something. Like, this cannot be, I cannot depend on a show to open or close for my success. Like, I have to be a part of my success. I have to partake in that. So
one of the things I've been so impressed with, but not surprised, is that you, during this time, have taught yourself how to play the guitar.
Yes, I have. Well, let me not take all the credit. I have a guitar teacher, John Smith, It's John Smith on Instagram. He is my teacher. We talk every day. Yeah, I learned to play the guitar. And that's something that I never thought I would have picked up. And it has done wonders for me, for my mental, for my spiritual, for my physical, brain-wise.
Right.
But it has done wonders, and it's helped the healing process in this season. It helped calm me, keep me grounded. Something so special about a string instrument that I never appreciated before. And I'm happy that I picked it up. But if this didn't happen, I probably would have never knew that that's something that I could do or had the potential of doing. So
was it something you always wanted to do?
No, I mean, I purchased a guitar. So I had like a guitar in the house. I don't know, at some point I was like, let me learn how to play the guitar, but I didn't think about it. But then my cast, we have like our text chain, and we had this competition going on within our own text. And it was like, okay, everyone sings a Bob Dylan song, and you had to nominate who would go next. And so many people in my cast know how to play guitar because they're like Bob Dylan fans, and they, that's what they do. And so I did this thing with the guitar, but I wasn't really playing. You couldn't see my fingers. I was kind of like this. And they were like, oh my God, Jeannette, you can play. And all my Black brothers and sisters in the cast were like, she ain't playing. And so I told them, I said, well, you know what? By the next time you see me in person, I'll be able to play. And that's how it all started. And I was like, I'm going to take guitar lessons. So I called my friend John, and I'm like, John, I want to take guitar lessons. And he was like, all right, get a tennis ball, squeeze the tennis ball. Like, he was taking me through all the basics. Yeah. And I did it, and I stuck with it. And even him, he's surprised. He's like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to play for you. I'm not going to play and sing. But here's the thing. What I learned about playing the guitar is, how can I explain this? As an artist, you get nervous.
Yes.
Sing and but you fight through those nerves.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to fight through the nerves with the guitar in a different way. So it was hard for me to play. Like, I'm not in front of anybody, but I'd be on FaceTime with my family. I'm playing, but I'd get nervous. Like, I can't play in front of people. But to play in front of people, it's a thing. It's like a thing. It's not as easy as you would think it is, but when it's your turn to play and strum, it's very different. So let's see if I can push through the nerves.
Okay.
And another thing is the pacing, because I'm rushing. So it teaches me to be calm. And so once you find your rhythm, then it like calms me, because when I first started, I'm like, but then I find that rhythm, and it kind of like I'm strumming my worries away. It's kind of scary because it's like, wow, we limit ourselves. There are so many things that we can do, but we never took the time to do it. And if you take the time and you put those hours in, you can do anything. So,
well, you've proven to us time and time again that you can do anything. You've had a couple of albums. Mm-hmm. How many albums have you had now?
3. I think I did 3 gospel albums. Yeah, 3 gospel albums, and then my show, the musical album. So 4.
Right. Do you have another recording coming out? One of which maybe you'll play the guitar?
Well, I've been working on new material. I put out that song, God, I'm Tired, just on the internet, basically talking about being tired of everything that's going on and fighting for injustice.
God, I'm tired. My timeline's flooded 'cause another cop has done it. Another mother. I'm tired of seeing my brothers dying. Can't even cry before I feel another blow. Lynching's now a suicide unless it's caught on video. Oh, 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 oh. God, I'm tired. Oh, 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 oh. God,
And what I'm doing differently is like, as a gospel artist, because I had 3 gospel albums, you know, I feel like, and not to downplay gospel artists, because I love gospel artists, but I feel like me, I'm an artist, you know, and I feel like because I've been singing gospel, like writing songs about God and my relationship with God, I feel like, you know, I haven't explored writing about other things in other areas of my life. So the music that I'm writing now is very personal. Just, that's the wonderful thing about this time, is that you can't, usually they're like, you got to pick a genre. You got to pick. You don't have to pick anything, because we're creating this. We're creating this platform. This is our platform. We sing what we want to sing about. We play instruments we want to play. You're making the rules. And so that works perfect for me, because I'm someone who likes to create, and I don't like to have rules all the time. So I'm like, there are no rules. If I want to put out a love song, I put out a love song. I want to put out a song about Jesus, I put out a song about Jesus, you know? So that's the beauty of these times.
You always, in my experience of you, you have always come across fearless.
I wish that was the case this year when I was in Girl from North Country, because I thought I could get through it.
Yeah, I mean, but you have always come across that way. What techniques have you learned, or do you have any techniques to get through nerves, or to get through, to manage your nerves?
You know what? That was one thing I wanted to pull up this book, because there are times when you go through different phases in your career where you're fearless and you get on stage and you can do anything. But then there are times when you're like, where did this stage fright come from? I never, the stage fright is real. Okay. So in Girl from the North Country, I realized that I started to get in my head. Sometimes you get in your head for whatever reason. You could be fearless for years, and then you get in your head. And so I was getting in my head, and I was like, I got to stop this, because it's hindering my performance. And I think it's because you know how much was at stake. It's a new Broadway show. Are you going to get nominated? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do? So you're in your head, and you're not allowing yourself to do the work. It's becoming too technical. And when you have the producers and the creative team watching, you want to hit every note. You want to make sure like this is the job they hired me for. Like, I'm going to be the best that I can be. But sometimes being your best, you have to let go. So I read this book called The Inner Game of Tennis. Yes, Timothy Galloway. And when I tell you, that book took me to the next level as far as conquering getting in your head. And and a lot of apparently a lot of athletes and just people that deal with pressure read this book.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's so interesting how you were going through that with your voice, and you are one that's known to have a big belt voice. And here you are at one of the largest stages you can be at on Broadway. You are doing the show you could not wait to do, and now you're not at top capacity.
It was hard, and it's so funny because the creative team, they rooting for me, and the directors and the producers, and they just they see me getting better. I guess the audience, they don't really know the difference because they don't know what I was doing in rehearsal. Because based on what I was doing in rehearsal, I was like the bomb. But but then I had to float notes, and guess what? When I recovered, the notes that I floated, we decided they work better. They're telling the story better. So it ended up being wonderful. And I'm just so happy. I had a really supportive director and creative team.
SHIDA is Jeanette's one-woman show that she wrote. Now since hair was closing? Tell the people about SHIDA.
Yeah, so I wrote this musical, SHIDA. It's a one-woman show. I played 7 characters. And we've been on Broadway at Ars Nova. We've done ART. We toured it. But recently, we did it in London for 6 weeks. And right before we started Girl from the North Country, it's a show based on my childhood best friend. And it's her struggle through life and how she finds her voice again after falling on hard times. So I was fortunate enough to write it and get the support of producers and my director, Andy Samberg. And recently we did it in London. And Andy calls me, he's like, listen, we have an opportunity to do the show in London. I'm like, I don't want to do the show in London. Like, I'm in Rock of Ages. We're about to open up Girl from the North Country. Like, this is just too much. Like, he's like, Jeannette, we need to go to London. So I was like, all right. So we ended up going to London. It was like a huge success. They want us to come back and everything, but we got a chance to film it, which was great. And I'm happy that they listened. I was like, we need to film this. We need to film this. And they were on it. And so we got a chance to film it. It's like a 6-camera shoot. And we wanted to capture it. We wanted to capture it so that if you watched it on the screen, that you would have that same feeling you would in the theater. And we were able to. It's my baby. It's been since, when did we start this? In 2010?
Mm-hmm. I remember coming to your living room.
My living room.
Doing a reading of it in your living room.
Yes.
With your family.
With my family, my little cousins, doing the lights and pressing play on the recorder. Yep, it's come a long way. It's grown. I'm happy that I did that because that's the gift that keeps on giving as well. You know?
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you thought to film it for that reason, because imagine that's exactly what Hamilton did, and now it's on Disney. And
exactly, that was my thought. I was like, we need to capture this. And something about it being in London in the theater, we were at the Vaults Theater, and it was this theater that was like, you had to go through the underground train station, the underground tunnel to get to, and it was very edgy and just like, it was the right environment. The audiences loved the show in London. And so I was like, we need to capture it live in London. SHIDA live in London. I mean, come on. And the producers were like, yeah, we're going to do this.
Now tell us the journey to SHIDA again. Hair was closing. Closing. And I literally was in my agent's office, and I was like, just thinking, like, I got to do something. I have to do something. Like, I need to write. Like, I want to contribute to this industry. I don't want to just sing and belt. Like, I have stories that I want to tell. I thought about this idea. I thought about my childhood best friend immediately. I called her. That's another thing. When you have an idea and you have the motivation to do something, do it right away before you lose that motivation. You know, so I'm happy that I jumped on it. I called her. I was like, let's meet tomorrow. We met up. I told her my idea. She was great. She was on board. And then I started talking to different producers and people that I knew in the industry. I spoke to Andy Samberg at our closing night party at Hair. He was one of the producers. And I spoke to him. And I was like, I have a musical that I wrote. And he was like, okay. Had you written it then, though? Were you just talking?
No, I had only written like 2 songs. And so he was like, all right, let's meet about it. I was like, okay. So we met. I sang the 2 songs for him at our meeting. He was like, okay, I want to hear more. Why don't you put together like a little something? I'll have my colleagues come. That's when I did the thing at my house. I was like, oh my God, I got to finish it. So I finished it. Then I had a reading for like my close family and friends at my house that you came to. And then I did it for him and his colleagues. And then that was history. They loved it. They signed on, and we've been partners ever since.
So there's a lesson there. If you have an idea to do something, don't worry about it not being complete, because you're speaking to him. That pushed you to finish it, because now he's waiting for you to have a product.
Mm-hmm. And I was forced to make that deadline. Like, oh my God, now I got to write the whole thing.
Well, were you insecure about writing? Were you feeling like, I'm not a writer, I'm not sure? Did you? No? No. But you know what? Sometimes when you're naive in certain things, you're like, I can do anything. Like in my mind, if I put my mind to it, I can do it.
So I was like, I can do it. But now, you know, especially when you get older, you start to be a little more reserved. Like, wait a minute, I don't want to make a fool out of myself. And now I'm working on so many other musicals, and now I have a halt in my spirit because I'm like, wait, I want to make sure I'm telling the story right. I want to make sure, you know what I mean? Now it's a different, you know, barriers now, my own barriers that I've created within my head. Where before I was just free, like, oh, I'm just gonna write, you know.
Yeah, you got some, you know, being reviewed and breaking down a script and working on a script. You learned a lot, and so now you're bringing a different level of craft to it. May take a little longer, but I don't doubt that you're gonna have it.
I hope so, because this one right here.
I don't doubt it at all.
One thing that I say about this particular time is that what this pandemic has taught me is that I'm not as strong as I thought I was, and I'm stronger than I thought I was at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
There's things, and I'm like, oh, I'm strong, I'm tough. That won't hurt me. Oh, baby. I learned there's some things that I'll be like, I could never, I'm too afraid. And I'm like, I can do that. So it's like, it's teaching you your limits and how you're limitless and how you do have limits. You know, it's teaching me so many things like that.
Suddenly my way seems lighter. Suddenly I could spread my wings. I could fly.
I have to figure out what I need to do to make sure my environment does not support that, the anxiety. And so what I've done is I like to, colors and my environment mean a lot to me. So I like change the whole make of my bedroom and put up like this poster here. I had this poster someplace else where I couldn't see it every day, but I made it my business to put these posters here. This is to remind me of what's possible. Remind me of where we've been and what we've come through. It's not even a vain thing. It's more of like, yes, this is a part of me. I remember when I was believing for this and it happened. I remember when I was doing this and I went from understudy to lead. You know, I remember. So it's like it helps me remember. So I'm setting my environment. So if I do go into that dark place, I have things that are surrounding me to remind me, you know, of light and of hope. I need to have my blinds up so that the sun is shining when I wake up, so that it's gonna supersede over those feelings. You know what I mean? So that's how I cope. I have to set my environment so that it goes against any negative feelings that I made that may come up for me.
Tell me about your nonprofit. How's it going?
Yes, the Bayardelle Foundation. And the reason why I started it is because I understood that success requires a team and access. And a lot of times, especially in the Black community, you don't have access and you don't have the team. We have brilliant people in our community, but because they don't have the access and they don't have the tools to get them to that next level of success, they can't experience it. So I wanted to start a foundation that would, you know, help people have that team and give them the access and exposure, you know, that can change the trajectory of their life. I'm really excited about just helping people get access to people and to tools to make them successful. Like my nephew that I talk about all the time, he went to Harvard, and getting to Harvard, it took a team. Like it takes a team because you need to know what your SAT scores need to be, what extracurricular activities you need to be in. You know, there's information that you need to know if you want to get there. And if you don't have that, you could be smart, but if you don't have that information and a team of people that are going to help you, it's harder. Yeah.
You know, what I love about it is you've had it now for quite a while. Long before George Floyd, before the situations that we're dealing with now. I don't like to say before racism because racism been here, but you know, before the current protests. And that's really a testament to when God places something in our hearts, we really have to go ahead with it because now it's established. And the need is actually greater now, and you don't have to now gotta rush and establish it.
Exactly.
It's already in place.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of it. As an artist, so just my personality has always been like, if I get it, I want everybody else to have it. You know what I mean? And sometimes that could be a downfall because everybody can't go where you go. So it's very hard to navigate because you don't want people to feel like you're closing doors on them or neglecting them, but it's not it. It's not it. Like, it's a process. Like, you're trying to bring everybody in. And that's one of the things that I admire about you, Angela. And when I thought about an artist that I admire, it would be you, because I've watched you grow and give back and stay active and just, you know, and do all of those things. And sometimes I don't necessarily have the capacity for all of that. You know, but you have kept in touch with your friends. You have uplifted us. You have supported us. You have just been a huge support while building your own success. And
well, you've always been that way too. I mean, and I know, yeah, it is a balancing act, and it is something we have to, because if we don't, then we'll end up burnt out in a minute. Yeah. But I mean, Jeannette will get a new idea because she's always got something. She's always learning. She's always learning. And she'll get a new idea about something, and I'll get a text. Have you tried this?
Sure will.
You know, and if we talk about it, when my son was born, when she came to visit, she was one of his first visitors. And she was telling me about this new thing, and I won't go into what it is, but she was telling me about it. And as soon as she got home, before I could get in bed, she had texted me all the links so that I could learn about it. So that's just how you are too, and that's probably why you notice it, because you're the same way. But we went through the trenches together, so you know.
We went through the trenches together. But one thing I want to say is that during that time, when I came over, that was a time when I was doing like all this financial stuff. Yeah. Like I was getting I was getting my business credit, my this and my that, my this and that. And I have to say, I spent that entire year working on the financial.
You sent me all those links. Get your credit. Get your this. Yeah.
Get this stuff right. And guess what? I can be comfortable today because of all of that work that went in behind the scenes with the financial stuff, all that stuff we were talking about. It was like, man, I didn't even know I'm preparing for this moment. So it was like, because I put that energy into, and it was a year of just like everything finance. But because I did that, it helped me in this season. You know what I mean? So it put me in a place where I can relax, and I don't have to think about, you know, the next paycheck for now, because we don't know how long this is gonna go. But that's the type of thing that I was talking about with the foundation, is like giving people access to this information, because we don't know how to work the financial institution of America. I'll say this little piece. Like, I'm like the credit score like guru. And one of the guys in my cast, Steve Regardless, he was in Girl from Little Country, but between me and him, we always would try to like see who has the highest credit. His credit's like 850. Like, he has like so he sends me texts every now and again. But I feel like in this season, you know, I'm not as worried about my credit score. Like, I know what to do to maintain it, because when you understand credit, you know how to move things around. And if you're gonna need the credit to go higher, you know things that you need to do. But I feel like in this season, because we don't know what's going on, you know, I'm not I'm maintaining my credit, but my credit score is not the focus right now. The focus is making sure you can maintain for a long period of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's trying to make those wise decisions. Like, do I need my credit score to be over 800 right now? Or do I need to reserve stuff? You know what I'm saying? You pay back your creditors now. I'm not saying don't pay back your people.
No, I'm saying, but instead of paying in full.
Exactly. Like, before, it's like this, like I had stuff that's automatic full payments for all these stuff. But now I'm like, whoa. Let me hold on to some.
You know what? You know that it's all going to end.
It will end one day, and you got to learn how to save it so that it could stretch.
And it runs out. Nothing lasts. You've got to learn how to do what you've done, what you did with SHIDA when hair closed. You got to learn how to save it so it'll stretch, but it can't stretch forever. And also find other streams of income so that, you know, you're not reliant on any one thing to eat. And even then, there's no perfect solution. So be nice to people, because you still going.
And that's the thing, Angela. I can say this about you. You are just have been so nice to people. You have been able to meet people where they are, because you know you got some crazy friends. I could be one of them, but you, Angela, know how to bring you back to center. Because you got some I know we know some turn up people, but you have just been loving to all of us and all of you have been with me where I had some crazy off thinking at times, you know. And you just sat there and listened to me like, You met me where I was. It wasn't like you were trying to convert me into anything or try to tell me, sister, you too religious, get over it. You just always were able to meet people where they are and just be a friend, be a listening ear, and I love that about you. And you've been that way with us from day one. And I just love that about you, and I appreciate you. And anybody who gets you, like, you know, seeing you with the have and have not cast, we kind of like, first of all, that is my Angela. Y'all a second, you know, because we all take ownership of you, because we know that they're getting the best. You're getting the best. To be in a cast with you is a jewel. It really is a jewel, because you're that ear, you're that friend, you're that calm voice, you're that, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you be like, well, no, let's look at it this way. You know what I mean? But you're that voice of reason, and that you've always been that calm in our situation. So I appreciate you for that.
I love you. And we just, you know what we should do? I mean, for those of you that are wondering, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? Well, we did The Color Purple together, Jeannette and I.
Yes.
I kissed a girl and I like it. I was shook. Jeannette was Seeley, and we were understudies together on Broadway, and we complained a lot together. We were each other's rock. But Jeannette always knew that was just a yield sign for her. She always knew that she was swinging and covering 12.
Yeah, 11
characters. But she always had the confidence that I ain't gonna be here long. I'm not gonna be in this spot long. And sure enough, when the tour was cast, who was cast as Seeley? Jeannette Bayardelle. Gonna hold my head up, gonna put my soul in and look you straight in the eye. So, yeah, I learned a lot from watching her. I just happen to be old. And so because of that, I was able to listen to a lot of the stuff out of her youth that she would say and be like, yeah, Ja.
Yeah, she like,
in a couple of years.
Yep.
We had so much fun, but I love to see you soar. I love to see everything that you're doing. You've always been an inspiration. When we were on tour, Jeannette would go to churches every Sunday and sing nothing from The Color Purple. This didn't have nothing to do with The Color Purple, even though I guess by them saying she was in The Color Purple, it was advertising The Color Purple. But because she had the gospel albums too, she would go to a church in whatever city we were in. She would go to a church and minister at that church that morning. Now, anybody who's done a tour or Broadway know that Sunday morning, the last day of the week, nobody wants to get up early and go and sing. But Jeannette would do that in every city. And if we were in that city for 4 or 5 weeks, she would go to 4 or 5 different churches to minister. And I mean minister. And then she would come back to the theater and sleep until time for the show. She did that throughout our entire time on the road. So, you know, I learned quite a bit watching you as well, my sister, how you belted out those mornings at the church and came and sang I'm Here with no problem. I will never know, but it was always an inspiration to me.
And I think one of the biggest issues for me, which I'm still struggling with now, is the church.
Yeah.
And people don't understand, like this one's deep, you know, being a woman of faith, just knowing, you know, how the segregation in the church is real and the racism in the church is real. The beautiful thing about this is that the church has to really become the church, and it doesn't mean the four walls of the building. What are you really saying now? Now that you are behind you're all on the same playing field. So now that you're behind the camera in your living room or still in your pulpit, whatever you choose, what you talking about? Like, like, are you really talking about something? That's a good thing, because like I say, we get comfortable in the things that people praise us for doing, and we leave no room for growth. There are some singers that can sing down, riffing and all that stuff, but you're staying right there. You're not exploring nothing else. And I feel like there are preachers, you stayed right there. Not because the Lord said, but because you were lazy.
What would you love to be your next thing?
I would love to see SHIDA in every home in the world. I would say America, but I'm not going to limit myself.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on now. So that's one of the things that I would love, that's one of the things that I want to touch soon. Mm-hmm. I do want to do more. I love the life that I'm living now and the projects that I'm in now. But I want to be a part of meaningful work. And meaningful work meaning in the story, in the cast, in the creatives, just around people who are making a difference in the world and who are pushing the bar, who are pushing the limits. Great work. That's what I want to be a part of. Those great cast, great work, whatever it is. And I also want to get paid to do it, but I want to get paid to do it. But I also want to make sure that I'm financially set so that I'm not necessarily taking stuff for the pay. I want to be a part of great work, successful work, history-making work. I'm happy that I understand that there's always room for growth. So you don't want to peak. Like, I don't want to just peak and go down. I don't want to. Maybe I may have to, but I see that no matter what age you are, you can start something new. You can do new things. So, but I'm happy that I'm just stretching and growing, and I just want to continue to stretch and grow through this time. And I encourage people to don't put limits on you. Don't let people put limits on you, and don't put limits on yourself.
I'm inspired too.
But thank you.
So no, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Silence,